What's up, all my soldiers? This is CGT Podcast, episode 39. I'm kind of sure about that. But either way, I know today, since what we're talking about is what we're talking about, I'm not even Mars Soldier today. I'm fucking L from Death Note. And that's just because I got some stuff to share with people, bro. I'll do so much research sometimes that it's like, it can drive somebody insane if they don't just get it off their brain. I have to release this shit in any ritual that I can. And one of the ritual ways that I do that is by just doing a podcast. So today we're going to be talking about, for one, we're going to be talking about QAnon. Secondly, we're going to be talking about, it all ties in, so I'm not even going to say no number, and it's not going to go in order, because it's all tied into one basket, one dirty clothes hamper full of bullshit. So, we're going to be talking about QAnon stuff. We're going to be talking about the Jeffrey Epstein case. We're going to be talking about the Ghislane Maxwell case. We're going to be talking about political ignorance. So we tie all that stuff into each other. We're talking about political ignorance, Jeffrey Epstein and that whole circle, and QAnon and how that ties into political ignorance. And before I go too deep in this, I want to say I don't mean no disrespect to nobody, bruh. I don't mean no disrespect to nobody. If you taking this with disrespect, it's because probably you deserve to. But at the end of the day, I'm going to start off this right here by saying this. I feel like, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I feel like America is full of scumbags. Not everybody in America is a scumbag, but I feel like we're full of scumbags. And the reason why Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislane Maxwell, and many other people who we call powerful, they're going to get away with so much disgusting stuff before they die on this. They're going to get away with it, meaning like physically, materially. Physically, they're not going to serve no time in jail. So that's another topic we're going to be covering, how bullshit our fucking justice system is. How bullshit our justice system is. And how they only go after people who don't have money. This country is literally built around targeting poor people and letting fucking people who we consider wealthy and powerful get away with shit. The system is built around that shit, and nobody's paying attention to it enough. Well, I'm not gonna say nobody. People are starting to pay attention to it, so we're gaining momentum, but we gotta fucking gain way more momentum because these motherfuckers have these people have so many pieces in their corner. They have so many people like pretty much paid off already. It's insane. You really have to find trusted media sources. And I feel like I found some really trusted media sources. And that's why I'm going to share those sources with you all. And also, in the process of that, I'm going to be exposing how Ghislane Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, what they do is, pretty much already known. They're fucking intelligence agents is what they call it. But why do we have such things as people grooming women, young women, to be fucking raped by elite people so that they can be blackmailed? You get what I'm saying? Why is that a thing? I feel like that's a possibility of what they are, but I don't think that's the real thing. I think it's really based off of there being a market for that shit, a secret dark market where people are need a safe place in their mind to practice dark shit. So you have people, a whole nother economy besides capitalism. We have something completely besides capitalism, and I don't know what to call it besides shadow capitalism. I would just call it that shit. The shadow capitalism. And it's fucking insane. It's fucking insane that it takes somebody like me to sit right here and piece together all this information. And I'm not saying I'm the only person. Let me get that straight, because of the fact that the people who I'm going to give y'all as the sources, they're the real people at these fucking cases hearing all this disgusting stuff being told in a courtroom. You feel what I'm saying? And then they had to go on to other platforms and then talk about it again. You feel me? Like, and then while they're doing stuff like that, while these journalists are actually out here trying to get information, as you will see when I show the video, they can't even fucking record audio in the courtroom. They gotta literally write down every word in their laptop or on paper or whatever the fuck they're doing. And that's the only way they can get the information out, because our fucking justice system doesn't want this information to get out. Now, Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislane, Maxwell, they have connections to being what they call Zionists. We already know what the fuck that means. That means they're disgust. I'm not going to say every fucking person who considers himself as a Zionist, because there might be an average person on the street who's a nurse or something who got caught up in this stuff. But the people who are the people who boldly are fucking letting people get away with this stuff, the people who are actually the Zionists they're fucking Jewish Zionists, right? So I know this is random, but it's also connected to it. I'm on YouTube the other day, and then Daylight, he goes live and he brings something to my mind that I forgot about. How creepy the Jewish culture can be. Now, I'm not saying if you're a Jew that means you're creepy. But with that being said, it is very disgusting the stuff that they do in their culture. It's very sexually perverted. You get what I'm saying? And he said some shit. He said some real shit. He said, if they're, slicing little babies, wee-wees, and then they have people designated to suck the blood out of it as a ritual, and they do this in a place of what they call holiness. Now, like this, how he broke it down. He was like, in the black community, we be on our best behavior at church. So if this is what they're doing at their fucking church on their best behavior, then imagine what type of freaky, disgusting stuff they're doing behind closed doors. Not to mention that this man had a whole island to himself. Not to mention that it's not just him who has a whole island to himself. It's a lot of these fucking billionaires, a lot of these like multi-millionaires. They can afford stuff like this. They can afford to hide their money offshores overseas, and they can afford to have whole islands. We already know what happened with Jim Jones, bro. This man wasn't even a fucking billionaire. Jim Jones wasn't even a billionaire, and he bought land in Guyana, and he convinced 900 people. Well, he didn't convince them, but he murdered 900 people. So if this is what's happening behind closed doors, and then somehow we actually get a leak, the justice system actually fucks up, or we got journalists out here that are willing to put their lives on the line to expose this stuff. We have people who are victims of this stuff who are willing to put the rest of their lives on the line to get what they think is going to be justice, right? So I feel like the least we could do is fucking respect these people, and fucking actually, if the justice system is not going to do nothing, we cannot let this information get swept under the fucking rug. We cannot let the people who are associated with this case, whether it be Jeffrey Epstein, Ghislane Maxwell, the Clintons, the scientists that I'm going to, the scientists attach their name to this man. And that's the crazy part, bro. If I'm robbing a bank and a person in the seat next to me is fucking driving me, even if he don't know, even if he don't know I'm going to rob a bank, 9 times out of 10, this man is going to jail. If not a little bit less time to me, then he's gonna be going to jail the same severity of get the same severity of punishment that I get. But you telling me not only do we got a flight log proving that these people went to this private island with this person that was a very well-known pedophile at the time, you telling me that they didn't notice that he was a pedophile? And that if they did know that he was a pedophile, you telling me that they weren't partaking in what we know was happening on the island? You telling me they don't even have to show up in court? You telling me that they got proof of that? You telling me that the people who flew the planes and shit, they have lists and logs of the plane, and the people's name that's on the log, they don't even have to fucking answer to it at all because they got powerful lawyers, which I just see as professional liars. I see it as professional liars. I haven't even got into the video yet. I haven't, I usually screen share and shit by now. I haven't even got into that yet because I just want y'all to understand the prerequisites of what's going on, like how important this is and how it's leading to political ignorance. Before before Donald Trump got into office, most people were politically ignorant. At the end of Donald Trump being in office, people were still politically ignorant, but they had a little bit more investment into it simply because of the fact that the media was telling them that this nigga ain't shit, right? But they weren't calling out real reasons why he wasn't shit. They just calling out reasons where they wouldn't expose themselves to. So all the shit from QAnon, basically. I'm gonna say this. The QAnon people, if you still on that Donald Trump shit, I hate you and you're the stupidest person on the fucking earth. But if you still on that shit where you understand that, like, Donald Trump is a part of that shit too. Like saying that he was on those islands. He knew this man Jeffrey Epstein and they whole operation, what they had going on. Donald Trump is married to Zionists. He has Zionist, his son has Zionist connections, I think, or something, like his daughter or some, I think his daughter is married to like a powerful Israel Zionist or some shit like that. So all this shit is going on and all these connections are going on. And somehow the Q people on 4chan and 8chan got so caught up in feeling like they're a part of something that they put the trust in the person who's a part of the fucking scheme to stop the scheme. And if you still believe that this man is going to do something, or if you still believe that Donald Trump is the great white hope, as I heard somebody say before, Jesse Lee Peterson, his stupid ass. If you believe in all that shit, then you are washed. You're so fucking ignorant. And I don't even use the word hate often, but I really don't like ignorance. I don't like brash, confident ignorance. Like, you so ignorant that you calling other people stupid and blind because they don't think that, Donald Trump is going to put all the, he handed out subpoenas and shit. You feel me? He need to hand himself one if that's the case. Joe Biden is supposedly, Joe Biden and Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton and the Barack Obama and the Obama family and the Bush family, all these people. I don't need to see none of these people names on the fucking list. I know they're fucking sociopaths based off of the warmongering they've done. So you can't tell me these people won't be, they wouldn't go to the, if you telling me they'll go to the extent of killing kids over nothing, over a little bit of power, over a little bitty poppy seed. If you're telling me they'll go to that extent now, just to kill, they would do the shit on Epstein Island. They definitely fucking would. And with that being said, that's not a far fetch that all the adrenaline stuff that they was talking about on Q, all that stuff, it could be real, but it could be a distraction. Either way, I feel like it's a distraction because coming from my point of view, the reason I even started looking into QAnon in the first place was because of this old YouTuber named YP. You feel me? So I understand, like, at the time when he got into it, I was like, okay, this nigga dropping some gems and shit, But I never was into the part where he was like, Donald Trump is going to stop all this shit. I never got that part. You feel me? And the reason I'm bringing that up is because of the fact that I feel like a lot of these people who were swept under the QAnon and 4chan and 8chan wave, where they would go and get these drops and then they would put it into a format where the rest of the world can see it as reality, when it was just a bunch of codes and shit. How you know that's not the Matrix at that point? How you know it's not a massive super intelligent AI at that point? How you know that's not, the CIA or the FBI leading you motherfuckers the same way they do in other countries to start revolts so that they can blame and say that country ain't shit, and they can go in there and then they can implement they figure that they want to be in control. So how y'all don't know that? How is y'all so hypnotized by, these details and shit, and then most of the time the people who are online spreading the information, they used to be in the CIA. Like this nigga YP, I was watching his video for the first time in a long time. because this has been crazy shit going on. Either way, he was boldly bragging about getting a shout out from a former CIA agent. And I'm like, guy, do you not understand that former CIA agent literally means present CIA agent? You can't quit that type of shit. You cannot quit that shit. They literally, the application and the way that they choose people to be in the CIA, they're specific personality types that most of the time that shit don't turn off. And if it do, they're not just gonna be on the internet fucking giving out secrets and shit like that. How stupid are you? How stupid are people in this fucking movement? You get what I'm saying? And the reason that's important is because they basically embarrassed y'all. They embarrassed all y'all because Donald Trump is not in office right now. The subpoenas and all that shit didn't happen. And then not only that, you got all these quote unquote milestone court justice cases going on, like Ghislane Maxwell, like the Kyle Rittenhouse, like the Ahmaud Arbery case, like things like that. Basically, you got all this stuff coming. You got all this stuff being dealt with at this time, right? And it just so happens that Donald Trump not in fucking office. So most of the time, 9 times out of 10, you would assume that these people gonna get away with it. Not only, it's not because Donald Trump was gonna stop it or some shit like that. It's not because of that. It's because that was the plan, to make everybody aware of what to make everybody focused on these cases, these different cases dealing with different aspects of society, right? And then over time, that's supposed to make everybody trust the justice system. That's the part of the political ignorance, because people are so politically ignorant that they don't even understand that the problem is the justice system. They don't even understand that the problem is that politically we even have something called a Supreme Court. Politically, we even have something called democracy, or a democratic election in a country that's supposed to be a republic. Think about what I'm saying. Y'all thinking because y'all watching this video, but think about what I'm saying. The fact that politically we are so ignorant that we can't even make our own politics, so we can't even create our own. I said that wrong. We can't make our own political system up because we're so politically ignorant and stuck inside of this old ass paradigm of this old ass political system called the American government, which has to do with the justice system, which faith has to be put into, so that you'll actually respect when all these black people and quote unquote abusers and quote unquote bad guys and quote unquote bad mothers go to jail. You'll trust it. You won't second guess it. And if you do second guess it, sometimes they want you to second guess it, because that's a way for them to get you to react in a way that's going to make you more susceptible to doing something else they want you to do. Which is what? Take your ass back to work, go get your vaccine, let them practice their transhumanism, let them practice their pedophilia, let them work on their political movements to make all that stuff acceptable in society, while the whole time all you focused on is staying stable inside of capitalism. Staying stable inside of fucking capitalism. That's the only thing that matters. That's the only thing they want you focused on. Going to work, getting some money, and then buying stuff. That most of the time they pay China to buy it, to create the stuff to distract y'all, because they so hypnotized into the shit that they trying to do, and they so hypnotized into create a society where they are literally seen as gods and kings and queens by any means necessary. With that being said, that was all my little spiel. How long was that? Oh, that's 30 minutes right there, supposedly. But with that being said, let's screen share. We on screen share. We screen sharing. Shout out to Sold out to CGG Productions for the smoke blend. All right, let's go. We're gonna start off with this. I got a couple things I want to address. One of them is I kind of want to. I don't know where I want to start at. I'm gonna start right here because I want people to understand how deep this possibly could be going, and I'm not saying it is going this deep, right? But it's a possibility, and anybody who tries to make you feel like an idiot for questioning this type of stuff, then they should question the whole aspect of morality in the first place, because that ain't got shit. That ain't your fault that you questioning this. You have a brain and a soul for a reason. So with that being said, why in the freak, right? It's just been so weird stuff going on with Joe Rogan, bro. Joe Rogan, right?
1 square foot.
Okay. Right here, my bad. Joe Rogan, right? Joe Rogan, Joseph Rogan, or I don't know what this man real name. I fuck with Joe Coy more. Joe Coy's funnier than me. I'm gonna be real. But with that being said, let's move on. I still am entertained by Joe Rogan's podcast. He has a lot of great guests on and shit like that. But with that being said, I start to question some of the stuff as I get more mature and older. I start to question, like, why the fuck is this nigga so immature in a way? Like, today I was listening to a podcast where this man had on a guy who was like basically breaks down like basically breaking down how like a lot of athletes used to be hooked on steroids and shit, and like basically the point of view that it seemed like he was coming from is like, oh yeah, like shit, either let people do what they're gonna do and let them take the performance enhancers, or basically the entertainment won't be worth watching. And I'm like, fuck the entertainment, bro. Who the fuck wants their child having role models in whatever sport it is, being fucking addicted to steroids and juicing up and stuff like that? Nobody wants that. Nobody wants that. That's disgusting, bro. And speaking of that, this swole ass man, LeBron James, was fucking show up on my camera and shit. But with that being said, nobody wants that. And on top of that, according to this other guest that I'm about to show y'all he had on, Steven Pickner, it's crazy because I remember Dr. Sanjay Gupta was on Joe Rogan, right? And Sanjay Gupta is a part of CNN, and they were a part of this spiel where they were basically accusing Joe Rogan of taking ivermectin, which is what he called horse paste or some shit, but it's not actually horse paste, blah, 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 blah. So we had him on, right? And he went at this guy at a certain point. He was like, yeah, like, there's a lot of evidence out there that what y'all are saying is bullshit. And you, as a person, can clear that up, blah, 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 blah. And the whole time he was grilling this man, Dr. Sanjay Gupta, right? And that's interesting to me because in this whole fucking podcast that I sat around here and I listened to, because I know that I knew that Steven Pickner, had pictures and stuff with Jeffrey Epstein, right? Now, with that being said, I listened to this whole interview, and at a certain point I forgot he was associated with it, right? Until a point in the interview or a point in the podcast where the doctor or the psychologist brought it up himself, basically saying that he was in a couple pictures with Epstein, and basically he don't want to get caught up in that. And in the whole episode, he's basically trying to make people be rational. And I'm like, okay, I understand. Some people do need to be more rational. Don't get me wrong. But the whole time they were focusing on conspiracies for some reason, as if that's the most important type of shit that people need to be rational about. And then at a certain point, Joe Rogan does kindly question him and say stuff like, yeah, but they do have evidence about this. Yeah, but they do have evidence about this. But he would allow the guy to basically overshadow the evidence with just saying that that's not enough evidence. That's not enough evidence. Okay, but we're not saying that that's enough evidence. We're saying we need to put in efforts to find more evidence. That's what we've been saying. That's what the people have been saying. That's what the people who are actually researching this stuff and like putting their heart and soul into fucking trying to find the truth and trying to bring actual justice to this fucking world, to this nation. But what they try to manipulate it to be is that our community, the community of truthers or conspiracy people who actually know what's going on behind closed doors, and we're not afraid to share it. What they try to do is make us seem like we only need a little bit of evidence, and then we jump to 1,000 conclusions. a billion trillion conclusions, and none of them are based on reality. But with that being said, that's not true because even within the last couple of years, bro, like a lot of conspiracies that people have been talking about, they have came true. And with that being said, when people like these doctors right here is confronted with that, guess what they do right here.
Your book, the new book, is Rationality.
Matter of fact, I don't want y'all to see my comment. Wait, this is my page. This is my right page, right? Let me see. Oh no, this is the wrong page. Let me see if I'm on there though. 3 days ago. Oh yeah. Let me see. Sort by newest first. This is petty as fuck. I just want to show y'all my comment. I went in on this guy. Let's see. 34 minutes. Damn, yeah, I ain't gonna find my comment. Too many people commenting on this shit. With that being said, it's got 21,000 likes. They took the dislike button away, so nobody will ever know. And I'm pretty sure if anybody does accuse this doctor in the comments of being the guy who he is, then they probably be looked at as a fool. But yeah.
Rationality, what it is, why it seems scarce, why it matters.
It is kind of scarce.
It certainly seems scarce.
What has happened to us?
Well, it's I think that there's a lot of rationality inequality.
Yeah.
Because, at the top end, we've never been more rational. I mean,
Right.
Not only do we have just mind-boggling technology in terms of mRNA vaccines and smartphones and 3D printing and artificial intelligence, but we have rationality applied to areas.
Okay. That's the technology that people like to focus on. I like to focus on stuff like the electron microscope. I like to focus on stuff like like lasers, and I like to focus on stuff like just the general public finding different ways to communicate with each other in better ways. Why the fuck it gotta be mRNA vaccines and shit like that? Like, come on, bro. That's already off rip. Like,
of life
trying
that
to
formerly were just a
brainwash
matter
people.
of seat of the pants guesswork and hunches, and you rely on experts. So you have things like Moneyball, where some genius thought, well, if you make decisions in sports like drafting and strategy based on data instead of the hunches of some old general manager, you could actually have an advantage. And so the Oakland A's went all the way with a fairly small budget for players because they applied data. Now every team has a statistician. Data-driven policing. One of the reasons that the crime rate in the U.S. fell by more than half in the 1990s wasn't that all of a sudden guns were taken off the street. It wasn't that racism vanished or inequality vanished. Part of it was that police got smarter, since a lot of violence happens.
What the fuck is this nigga?
Few small.
What is he saying? This guy is stupid already. If you think he's credible, you have to be insane. I hope y'all can hear this. I hope I haven't been screaming too loud. This guy is stupid already. He's talking about, this man is such a psychologist. I think he's a hypnotist, honestly. I'm gonna be real. This nigga gotta be a hypnotist. How are you on here saying that in the 90s, police got more rational and that's why the crime rate fell? Do you know what happened in the 90s, my guy? Where the fuck was you, in a laboratory somewhere, or were you on Jeffstein? Or were you with Jeffrey Epstein back then too? Huh? Where were you in the 90s? The crime rate wasn't fucking falling, and if it was, it probably was for your community. What's going on in this guy's brain already, bro? What's going on? I was born in 1996, and I know this, bro. I know this. This guy look like he about 40 years old. What the fuck is going on?
Small areas of a city, often by a few hotheads, a few perpetrators.
Yeah.
If you concentrate police on where the crime hotspots are, you can control a lot of crime without that much manpower.
We were just having a
evidence-based.
conversation.
What the fuck? This is how white people think. He's a psychologist. So technically, I'm just hearing the psychology of white people at this point, honestly. That's what I feel like. Like, who the fuck thinks like this? White people talking about, wait, I'm gonna rewind it one more time.
Small areas of a city, often by a few hotheads, a few perpetrators.
Small areas of a city, specifically by a few idiots, hotheads.
police on where the crime hotspots are, you
Where the
can
crime hotspots are, right? Don't put the police in the places where they cooking meth and they shooting, they cutting people off. They got whole documentaries on cults and shit, and white people, whole white communities being destroyed. Where the police at? Oh, they downtown in the you know dangerous communities. What the fuck?
control a lot of crime without that much manpower.
We were just having a
Evidence-based
conversation.
medicine,
Yeah.
evidence-based policy and governance. So there are areas in which we've applied rationality in areas that formerly were just gut feelings and hunches. I'll give you one other example.
See, this is hypnotism. First of all, it's still gut-based decisions. It's still split-second decisions being made in people's brain. Nobody's perfect. Ain't nobody that fucking rational to be a fucking police officer with a fucking gun, honestly, in my opinion. Ain't nobody that fucking rational to be called a judge over somebody else in the court system, in my opinion. But with that being said, rationality is not going to make a difference. You still are a human and you still making these decisions based off of your own decision, and you judging somebody else, and you judging what the decision, what reactions did the situation requires. What the fuck?
Examples, effective altruism, a movement that I'm kind of loosely connected with. Where do your charitable dollars save the most lives? Should you buy malarial bed nets? Should you buy seeing eye dogs for blind people? It makes a big difference, and so charity now is becoming more rational. So all of these areas.
Now, he said charity now is becoming more rational, right? And I wonder why. They say that man Jeffrey Epstein was charitable as fuck. You feel me?
Is policing and sports and charity and government are becoming more rational. But of course, at the same time, you've got chemtrail conspiracy theorists. You've got the idea that COVID vaccines are a way for Bill Gates to implant microchips in people's
They're not? Don't they make you magnetic?
Right.
Right.
What's interesting to me
Yeah.
is that there's a thing that goes along with irrational thought, where you have irrational thought that
Let's
is
get this straight. So far, what have we established with Mr. Steven Pickner that Mr. Joe Rogan decided to have on his podcast, which is not strange at all at this point in time, which we know so much in our mind. With that being said, established so far is that police, the government, and technology have become more rational, right? But the first couple examples that he gives for people who are irrational just so happens to be people who think conspiracies are real. If you think chemtrails can harm the environment, you're a conspiracy theorist to them. If you think, like, what else this man say? Let's see. He started off with
The idea
chemtrails.
that COVID vaccines are a way for Bill Gates to.
If we question what the fuck a COVID vaccine is, then you're a conspiracy theorist. There is no reason to question Pfizer and Moderna, two companies that have been sued multiple times for billions of dollars for killing people with their fucking pharmaceutical medicine. And you can go look this up right now on Google. You can look this up on Google, and Google is trash. So with that being said, we've established that police, government, technology, and people who are rich as fuck giving money in charity, that's become more rational, right? But on the other hand, people who question stuff going on in their environment, and people who question people who want to stick stuff inside of their veins, they are considered irrational. This is what is being established. If you just sitting right here listening to this shit on Joe Rogan, if you're still a Joe Rogan fan and you just sitting right here and you listen to this shit, you getting brainwashed.
implant microchips in people's
They're not?
arms.
Don't they make you magnetic?
Yeah, right.
What's interesting to me is that there's a thing that goes along with irrational thought, where you have irrational thought that is confined to your party lines, right?
Oh,
like
yes.
if you are
Now Joe Rogan tried to bring the scale back to some reality type shit, because irrationality inside of this, like this Democrat versus Republican shit, that shit is so irrational, and everybody knows it who's not a part of it. It's irrational as fuck to be talking about Democrat, Republic. If we want to actually make change, we have to make new parties, have to make new political systems up, which is what a party is supposed to be. Anyway, with that being said, those two, Democrat, Republican, irrational. That's irrational as fuck. I agree. But Joe Rogan is trying to bring the scale back this way. I don't even know if Joe Rogan know if his guest is a fucking hypnotist at this point. I don't know if he knows this. But with that being said, it seems like he's trying to bring the scale back to some actual shit that people can relate
it's just a
to.
blanket statement, but if you are right wing, you are more likely to dismiss the worries of climate change.
Yeah, absolutely.
Why
In fact, that is the main predictor of whether you dismiss climate change. It has nothing to do with scientific literacy. A lot of my fellow scientists say, "Oh, the fact that there's so much denial of man-made climate change means we need, better science education in the schools. We need scientists becoming more popular and making the climate science more accessible." Turns out that whether you accept human-made climate change or not has nothing to do with how much science you know. And a lot of the people who do accept it know, diddly about the science. They often will think, well, yeah, climate change isn't that because of the hole in the ozone layer and toxic waste dumps and plastic straws.
Fuck the climate change.
Political spectrum. The farther to the right, the more denial. So that's what you said is absolutely right.
It's not just more denial, but this willingness to instantaneously argue it. Like the subject came up, oddly enough, in jiu-jitsu. We're after class, we're just getting dressed and putting stuff away. And someone said, man, it's just a fact of life that it's getting hotter every year. And this guy jumped in immediately with like this defense of this idea that climate change is nonsense. And it's like, listen, it's a cycle. It's always been going on like this. I'm like, how much research have you done? Like, you don't think people affected at all? I'm like, yeah, it is a cycle, right? If you go back and look at core samples and you look at the ice ages and you look at all the various times in the history of the earth, the climate has moved. We were actually just talking about this yesterday. I had someone on who's an expert in ancient civilizations and all these archaeological mysteries that they've found. And one of the things we were talking about was the Sahara Desert, that the Sahara Desert goes through this period of every 20,000 years or so where it's green and then it becomes 1,000+ years ago.
So what's going on is idiocracy right now. Joe Rogan doesn't know. He's one of the rarest people who are not a part of this circle of people who have they have a lot of data. They run a lot of experiments. They have nothing but free time to study nature. You're a part of nature. You are a part of nature. So they're studying you too. But with that being said, I want you to understand that, Joe Rogan doesn't understand. He's one of the last couple people, if these people are successful at this psychological warfare they're at right now, who are going to be able to be actually mediocrely know about shit. They can mediocrely know about shit and still make millions and billions. You feel me? That's going to be no more in the future. You feel me? So right now, listen to Joe Rogan. What is he saying?
1,000 years or so where it's green and then it becomes a desert again and then it becomes green again and it goes back and forth. And 5,000+ years ago, it was very green and now it's an inhospitable desert. And, this guy just had this right-wing talking point. Instead of arguing with him, I said, how much research have you done? I'm like, what do you think is happening? Well, it's just a cycle. It's definitely a cycle, but don't you think it's extraordinary the amount of CO2 we put in the atmosphere?
Yeah, but there can be superimposed trends. They can be a cycle, and on top of that, there can be the forcing that we're doing.
It's both things.
So it's both things, yeah.
Clearly, there's the Earth varies. It has varied.
So I want you to realize that inside of what Joe Rogan was saying was a conspiracy. It's like some real, conspiracy mind state type shit. Like every 24,000 years, motherfucking Egypt go from being a big ass jungle to the desert, and we can predict this because somehow there's a science that makes us be able to know some weird shit like that. No, nigga. So you gonna realize that he didn't stop Joe Rogan right there when he was being irrational. He let that nigga spew because he was in the middle of proving something, which is a part of their agenda. The whole climate change shit. He's right. It's both. But that shit is not in it. The shit that he said in the middle don't make no fucking sense. That shit don't make no. There's no way you can prove in 24,000 years that the fucking Sahara a desert is going to be a forest, and then 24,000 years after that, like it's going to turn back into a desert. Ain't no way you could predict that. I'm just
forever
being
in
real.
terms of like the climate shifting back and forth. But clearly, like if you look at any, like Mexico City is a great example. I flew into Mexico City once and I took photos because I couldn't believe there wasn't a fire.
And where there is a brown haze everywhere, and that's because
Side would have a significant impact on the environment, but it really does.
yeah, I mean, it isn't forcing climate change. It's a different kind of problem,
Right.
but it's another problem.
It's a different kind
But
of
yeah,
pollution.
but going back to what we were talking about, one of the big conclusions of rationality is that a lot of what we deplore now as just crazy stuff, conspiracy theories and the fake news, and a lot of it comes from one bias, the my side bias, which you kind of already alluded to.
Yeah.
Namely, you believe in the sacred beliefs of your own clique, your own political party, your own coalition, your own tribe, your own sect, and you paint the other side as stupid and evil for having different beliefs. And there's a perverse kind of rationality in being a champion for your cause because you get brownie points from all your friends. And if you were to defy them, if you were to accept climate change in a hardcore right-wing circle, you'd be a pariah. It'd be social death. So there's a perverse kind of rationality in championing the beliefs of your side. It isn't so good for whole democracy when everyone is just promoting the beliefs that get them prestige within their own coalition rather than the beliefs that are actually true.
Yeah, it's strangely prevalent, right? Like it's so common that people have this ideology, they subscribe to the belief system that is attached to that ideology, and whether it's left wing or right wing, and they just adopt a conglomeration of ideas instead of having these things where they've thought them through rationally and really like looked at it.
Wait, let me get you, Steven. Where's Steven at? Where you at, Steven? Okay, this Steven. Okay. Steven wants you to think conspiracy theories are irrational, right? Steven wants you to think conspiracy theories are irrational. I want you to look at this. This is an interesting picture over here. A very interesting picture with Steven in it. Featuring not only Jeffrey Epstein, but just so happens to be Alan Dershowitz. Yeah, both of them. I don't know who the other niggas is, but I know those two guys for sure. So, yeah, I just wanted y'all to see that. We irrational. Everybody's irrational. And he just said the my side shit, right? And he's calling himself out. He's a part of that. We are humans at that point. Even if he's saying that and he's a psychologist and this is something they've been studying or whatever, you're a part of that too, my guy. You are a part of that too. So with that being said, you're speaking from a my side point of view too. That's why I'm pretty sure all these pictures of you with these guys and shit, and I don't even know. Wait, let me look that up right quick on YouTube if I can find that specific scene. Let's see. JRE Steven. Pickner. Yeah. What the fuck? This nigga name. Okay. Being rational. Okay, let's see. I need recent shit. Let me do the filter. this week. I'm gonna do the this week filter. What? Okay, there you go. This week, 5 days ago. Okay. Dang, that's the only one they got. Okay, let me look on Reddit right quick. I gotta be real. I think I seen something about it on Reddit already before I went to YouTube anyway. Okay. Joe Rogan. Oh yeah, let me just type in Steven. Oh wait, yeah, right here. Let me go back. On this page where I just had the picture showing. Where is it? Okay, let me see what they're gonna show me. Oh yeah, they ain't got no videos. Fuck it though. Anyways, moving on. I ain't gonna get this man that much more of my attention. Okay, that's that. That's the first section of it, you feel me? Next section of the podcast, we got my guy Christopher Hedges. Christopher Hedges, the great white nigga that exposes other white people. With that being said, let's see. Nick Bryant. They got a video with Nick Bryant and Chris Hedges on it. I wonder if they're gonna show the video. Oh yeah, here you go. Shut up.
Welcome to On Contact. Today we talk with investigative journalist Nick Bryant about the trial of Ghislane Maxwell.
Maxwell was part and parcel of that whole operation, and she knows the kind of power that is. We're dealing with the apex of power, and I believe that it looks at this point like she is going to take the fall by herself. Her trial has been really fishy. I mean, first it was like a year from the time that she was indicted. They've had her in jail for a year, and it was supposed to start in July, but then
Now they keep saying that she was in jail for a year. I don't believe that. If you ever watched a documentary about Jeffrey Epstein on Netflix specifically, they exposed that this man was supposedly, he was sentenced to be in jail, but they gave this man such a loose jail sentence that he basically wasn't even in jail most of the fucking time. And with that being said, I don't believe that she's been in a jail for a year. That's just me.
It's been pushed back another 3 months. So it's not malfeasance, but it's certainly fishy. Nothing in the Jeffrey Epstein story makes any sense.
Okay,
British socialite Ghislane Maxwell, held at New York's Metropolitan Detention Center and denied bail, will be tried this fall on sex trafficking charges for allegedly recruiting and grooming teenage girls to engage in sexual acts with the late American financier Jeffrey Epstein. She is reputed to have procured teenage girls for Epstein to abuse between 1994 and 2004 and allegedly paid the girls hundreds of dollars in cash.
Here we go. I don't know why this computer sounds so fucking bad.
Welcome back to the show. It's always a pleasure to see you. Can I begin by asking you about the trial that begins, I think tomorrow, of a rather famous woman around these parts, formerly of this parish, by the name of Ghislane Maxwell. What can you tell us? Is that being eagerly anticipated, or are people not really much occupied by it now?
No, I think it'll get some traction. It's a fascinating case because it has so many legal anomalies. There's strong evidence that Jeffrey Epstein may not have killed himself, may have been murdered. Certainly.
Now, this is a journalist that's won so many fucking awards, it don't make no sense. the equivalency of journalism of awards that he's won is like the Nobel Peace Prize type shit. You get what I'm saying? So this man know what the fuck he talking about, bro. That's all I'm saying. He not just sitting on it every day. This man, he got different journalists in different countries feeding him constant information. You get what I'm saying? And even then, he's traveling across the fucking world every day, probably not every day. You feel me? But you get what I'm saying? He's traveling and he's getting this information. He's trying to get people the truth. With that being said, y'all go fuck with Chris Hedges, bro, please.
Julie Brown, the investigative reporter for the Miami Herald, who's done the most extensive work on the case, believes quite firmly that he was murdered. There are supposedly caches of videotapes that Epstein had set up security cameras in his residences, including in his bathrooms, that have all sorts of figures on them, from Bill Clinton to Donald Trump to Ehud Barak. Those have all vanished. I assume the FBI has them. We don't know where they are. Ghislane Maxwell,
okay, we good,
herself.
We good, everybody. The FBI got all the deleted files and all the information about Jeffrey Epstein. We good. We ain't got to worry about it no more. Okay, we good.
Who procured these underage women for Epstein and for his friends, obviously knows a lot. A lot of people think that they're going to, I assume the FBI has them. We don't know where they are. Ghislane Maxwell herself, who procured these underage women for Epstein and for his friends, obviously knows a lot. A lot of people think that they're going to strike some kind of a deal to protect the circle that he's in. And many of the other procurers, she wasn't the only one, have never been charged. So yeah, I think there's interest in it from the salacious standpoint. I feel to protect the circle that he's in, and for his friend, for Ghislane Maxwell herself, who procured these underage women for Epstein and for his friends, obviously knows a lot. A lot of people think that they're going to strike some kind of a deal to protect the circle that he's in. And many of the other procurers, she wasn't the only one, have never been charged. She wasn't the only one. And him and his friends have never been charged. Never once. Never once. The FBI got all the fucking information. They got all the information in their fucking laptop, like Hunter Biden shit. They got all the information in there, you feel me? Just like all the military funds, right? Every time it's time for them to get an audit, every time they get audited, guess what? We don't know how much money we've been fucking spending. We don't know how much money we've been spending in reality. That's what they tell they ass straight up. And what? They just bitched out at that point. They just bitched out. And that's the you know what happened with that information? The FBI and the C. We good. We good. We ain't gotta worry about it type shit. No, bro, that shit's stupid. Cause it's like, why are we still trusting the FBI and the CIA to have this shit, bro? Why they got this information? And when they say the FBI and the CIA, like I said earlier, like these people who are in the FBI and the CIA, they don't retire. They can't retire. And if they do, it's like they go to a foreign country and then change their name and shit like that. They don't just stay in America. And those, if you're in America, you working, nigga. If you even communicating with people in America, you working. You working. So with that being said, these people, it's like a mob, basically. It's literally like a mob. Like, it's disguised itself as sophisticated though. So people don't question it. It's so sophisticated, and it's like it has a dominance on violence inside of our country. Domestically, the military, usually it doesn't enact itself. So what has the domestic, like overall the American government
has the overall authority on violence of this in the fucking planet. We can decide if somebody else do some violent shit. We can make them either look like a good or bad person, right? We can send in our troops, or we can do whatever the fuck we gotta do. When I say we, I need to stop saying that shit because I'm not a part of this shit. Fuck that shit. Let me release that shit. Okay, yeah, but when they do that shit, you know, they do that shit abroad. That's how they do it. Domestically, though, the FBI and the CIA, they got the domestic version of you feel me, the monopoly on violence. That's all they have. They can fucking beat anybody ass. They can tell your police officer, they could come in and tell your local police officers, give me all your fucking information and shut the fuck up. Shut up. You better not say shit about it. We got it from here. You feel me? They have the power to do this shit. Like, and they show this shit in TV shows and they try to make it seem like it's cool. But in reality, it's like the only reason it's cool because it's some mob shit. Niggas, like white people, black people, Mexicans, we all are human, you feel me? So we got this thing inside of us where sometimes violence could be entertaining to us, you know? But with that being said, yeah, they make it seem like it's sophisticated. But anyway, let me let Chris Hedges finish.
So yeah, I think there's interest in it from the salacious standpoint. I'm interested in it just because it seems quite clear that all sorts of powerful people who ran in his circle are not only never going to be charged, but never called out.
Quite so. And all the things you've just said, in a way, answer what was my next question, which is, why isn't this going to be televised? We see from O.J. Simpson onwards, we had a camera in every courtroom, it seemed. The Rittenhouse trial just ended just last week, was endlessly televised. Why would this case, involving as it does all these big names, not be televised?
Well, I think that there's clearly powerful forces at work that intend to cover up the activities of all sorts of members of the ruling elite on both of the political divides, Republicans and Democrats, of many Harvard academics, including Steven Pinker, Alan Dershowitz, Larry Summers.
What'd you say, my God? What'd you say, Chris Hedge? What'd you say, Christopher? What? What'd you say, Chris? Joe Rogan, why do you not know this, bro? Why you ain't got Chris Hedges on your show, bro? Why you ain't had, I don't know if you have had him on there before, but I haven't seen the episode. Why you ain't got my guy on there? You let Jimmy Dore on there. You let Jimmy Dore on there, right? Why you can't put my guy on there, Chris Hedges? Why you up here putting Steven Pickner on that bitch at a time like this? As soon as the trial start, that makes me so suspicious of you, bro. Like, and everybody who even like covering up for this whole case in a very subconscious and like it's like a psychological way. It's like a very psychological way that they're trying to cover this shit up and distract motherfuckers.
Bill Gates. I mean, all these people, you're talking about the ruling elite. And that's why a lot of people suppose that some kind of a deal will be made with Ghislane Maxwell to keep her quiet. But if there's been one constant throughout this case, we go back 10 years to the initial charges against Epstein, it's that all of these people have been protected. I don't see that changing.
No, I mean, important as the sexual crimes are, and if true, the allegations are horrific and despicable, the bigger picture is, for me, even more important. It's quite clear to me, as an observer and as someone who knows the Maxwell family extremely well, that this was all an intelligence operation from the beginning, that although disgusting, dirty men were doing dirty things to underage girls, the real purpose was to get the goods on those people for exploitation, commercial and political, and intelligence. Is that how you see it?
Well, in the court documents, there is a reference to Epstein working at least as an FBI informant. So yes, I think we know that as a fact. If you look at the way intelligence services operate anywhere in the world, of course, blackmail is key. J. Edgar Hoover had files on all of the powerful. It's why they could never remove him in order to keep them in check. So I think we are wandering into a field of speculation, but I don't think it's unreasonable speculation. And of course, Epstein had very close ties to Israel. So, but other than that reference within the court documents of him having a working relationship with the FBI, I don't know that we have anything hard on which to argue that this was an intelligence operation. But it certainly smells like one.
Well, it's just that when you get very powerful and significant figures, former presidents, former prime ministers, members of royal families, regularly in attendance of a man now proven to have been a sex criminal.
These niggas regularly showing up to this man ranch. He got ranches. He got islands. And they saying him, bro. They trying to put it all on him. And they trying to make it seem like everybody else is just like they good. And if you think they not good and you want to question them and investigate them more and wonder why the FBI got all this shit stashed away and they want you to wait 50, 60 years until this shit get released to the public, and then you can look back and be like, damn, bro, we was right. This shit, no, bro, that shit's pathetic, bro. They did that for Malcolm X. They did that for Fred Hampton. They did that for Martin Luther King. Okay, we know y'all gonna release the file. That's a stupid ass law in the first place. Why the fuck is that a law, bro? We don't have no politician nowhere. We don't have no leader nowhere trying to make that shit stop right there. Nobody. Everybody bowing down. It has a domestic monopoly on violence. Like, and somehow this makes people feel safe. What the fuck?
You got to ask yourself, what did all these people, Bill Gates and so on, what did all these people see in this Jeffrey Epstein? Did they just enjoy his company, his taste in art? It's kind of obvious that they were drawn into his web somehow. And the fact that videos and recording devices of all kinds were in use in his various palatial homes leads me, at least, simple guy me, to believe that these people were effectively being blackmailed.
Yeah, I mean, look, he stole $50 million from Wexler, who was the head of Victoria's Secret.
Let me stop these people right here now, because I got something to say. You feel me? If I was on this newscast, I would say, excuse me, you guys, I have something I would like to say. I would like to say that both of you are I think both of y'all are wrong on that whole blackmail shit. And I said this earlier in the podcast. I said that what's really going on is this is a dark market. This is a dark market right here that powerful people have created for themselves and they like to do weird shit like that. You get what I'm saying? So this whole narrative that a lot of the liberal class who are even like trying to tell the truth about this shit, what's really going on, like they're like all the presidents in the past are involved in this shit. You feel me? So with that being said, the fact that they're not even naming Joe Biden, I noticed that whole thing is a psyops. I never seen they ain't involving Joe Biden in that shit at all. They just talking about his son laptop and him being a crackhead. It's like distractions, bro. We really know what's going on, bro. This is a dark market. This is a dark market. It's not hard to understand. You probably it's a part of blackmail, but a lot of these people after they're blackmailed, they enjoy it. That's disgusting, bro. All that shit is disgusting. We need to, all that shit is fucking weird. With that being said, I'm gonna finish this interview then. See what the fuck I'm talking about.
And Wexler never wanted to charge him. So that begs the question. What did Epstein have on Wexler that made Wexler want to swallow $50 million? But again, these are all questions that have not been answered, and I suspect, given the panoply of figures involved, will probably never be answered. My supposition is that the FBI has these tapes, which means no one will ever see them.
Let's turn to cheerier matters. Your president, how is he doing? He looked pretty poorly the last time I saw.
Wow. Wow. All right. How long I've been on here? An hour and 16. All right. I'm gonna make this a two-part thing. I got a whole list of fucking videos that I'm gonna show people. Cause I'm gonna be a stream of source for anybody who actually wants to know what's going on with this pineapple. That's what we're gonna call it, because I already know where this is gonna lead to. So we're gonna make a new word up for what we're talking about right now, and it's called pineapples. Okay. With that being said, this has been CGC Podcast, and thank you for watching. Peace out.